Cosmo the Spacedog was born in the Soviet Union during the 1960s. At the time, he was a normal dog, half golden retriever and half Labrador. Cosmo was selected to be a test animal sent into space as part of their early exploration program. In a miraculous series of events, the dog was lost and disappeared from the solar system entirely. He was mysteriously sent to the far reaches of the known universe, arriving at the disembodied head of a long-destroyed celestial. This being was once a massive and powerful entity, and its head became an enormous relic which was more than large enough to become the home for a vast array of species from across the stars, many of whom had gotten stranded here just like Cosmo. This strange place, named Knowhere by its inhabitants, welcomed the Earth Dog and adopted him as one of their own. Cosmo had a lot to offer, too. In his journey to Knowhere through space and the fabric of reality, the dog had been mutated and changed. He gained a formidable array of telekinetic and telepathic powers, while experiencing a vast extension to his lifespan and intelligence. With his newfound abilities, Cosmo proved a helpful friend to the people of Knowhere, being able to communicate with virtually any living being. Much to the dog's delight, he was quickly appointed head of security for this strange facility, gaining a strong rapport with Knowhere's residents and leadership. In this new role, Cosmo began to enjoy life in this then quiet part of the universe. Thanks to Knowhere's many visitors, he quickly became familiar with a number of major players in the intergalactic community, as well as being aware of major, then recent events affecting the larger universe, such as the Annihilation wave's then recent attacks on reality, or the Phalanx invasion of the Kree Empire. It was under this climate that Cosmo and his security team discovered a group called the Luminals brought on some sort of contamination to Knowhere. Within a day, spirits had begun affecting the area, with a number of residents and Luminals being turned into strange zombies. Virtually the entire population of Knowhere went into hiding because of this, with all of them moving into a pocket dimension stored in a small device that would be contained within Cosmo's collar. Cosmo had elected to remain behind. As head of security, he decided to bravely face this mysterious threat alone, in the hopes Knowhere could eventually be restored. Exploring the station, he soon found an alarmed Richard Ryder, who at the time was the last surviving member of the Nova Corps. Ryder had drifted here after barely surviving the Phalanx, and Cosmo was quickly able to assess this Nova was a trustworthy ally using his telepathy. Cosmo explained to Nova the situation on Knowhere, and the two quickly bonded with one another. The space dog learned it was Richard who had defeated the Annihilation wave and quickly came to respect the human. Nova, for his part, was mostly confused as to why he was speaking what he quickly confirmed was a real dog from Earth, and was overwhelmed by the size and scale of Knowhere. Fortunately, Cosmo was able to help the superhero quickly get his bearings, explaining the danger of their situation and gaining Richard's aid. He led Nova to where this all started, and they were quickly attacked by the Luminals. Nova was impressed as Cosmo was able to obliterate quite a few of these zombies with his enormous telepathic strength. Though the two proved a powerful team, they were nearly overtaken by the superior numbers of the undead, and had to flee. The two soon found the source of contamination on Knowhere, a mysterious black tomb containing an entity named Abyss, responsible for the deadly haunting on the station after his containment device began to break down. Cosmo held back the attacking Luminals, while Nova infected Abyss with the Phalanx techno-organic virus, repairing the tomb-like object which held him and sealing his power away, destroying the ghosts and infection in the process. Within a day, Knowhere returned to normal and the people were back on the station. Cosmo then showed Nova one of the greatest features of Knowhere, a special network plugged into the brainstem of the dead celestial head that Knowhere was made of. Using this device, called the Continuum Cortex, they were able to quickly return Nova to the Milky Way so he could continue his desperate battle against the Phalanx. Before Nova left, he had one last gift for his new friend, a special chewy bone toy Richard found in Knowhere's market, and Cosmo's favorite. 2 hours later, though, Cosmo was disturbed to discover the Continuum Cortex was assaulted and forcibly used by the infamous super beings known as Gamora and Drax, both in pursuit of Richard Ryder. Sadly, there was little the dog could do in assisting his new friend. Despite this ominous moment, Nova was eventually successful in defeating the Phalanx without Cosmo's further involvement, and he did so by allying with a number of other superheroes, including Peter Quill and Quasar. Quill, also known as Star-Lord, felt this event and earlier Annihilation wave showcased the need for a superhero team to protect the galaxy and beyond. The Knowhere Corps were basically gone, and the events in the universe seemed increasingly threatening and chaotic to innocent civilians. Though Nova declined to join this new team, busy with the prospect of rebuilding the entire Nova Corps, he did put Peter Quill in touch with Cosmo. The Spacedog readily agreed to house these new heroes on Knowhere, generously offering them access to the vast facility and its resources as their new headquarters, as well as free transportation across the universe using the Continuum Cortex. Cosmo seemed to enjoy the lively and exciting nature of having a group of superheroes around, and he became the team's liaison. Though he quickly developed an early rivalry towards Rocket Raccoon, he seemed to quite like the others. Star-Lord, Groot, Quasar, and Adam Warlock all proved to be friendly companions, while he was able to overlook the earlier attacks by Drax and Gamora on Knowhere, and welcome them as new residents. Cosmo even expressed a desire to travel with these newcomers and take part in their adventures one day. For now, though, the Guardians went on missions far and wide, while Cosmo would work as their point of contact back on Knowhere with the hero known as Mantis. Mantis and Cosmo would help the heroes with information, transportation, and more. At first, this new team focused on the fanatical Universal Church of Truth, which had risen up in the wake of the devastating phalanx that had ravaged the galaxy. As they did not have a name for the new superhero team that was formed at the time, Cosmo had a few suggestions, like the Retrievers or K9. The team ultimately settled on calling themselves the Guardians of the Galaxy after an encounter with a time-traveling human named Major Vance Astro. The encounter led to Astro being attacked by his old teammate Starhawk, leading to a sprawling battle across Knowhere that threatened to tear the settlement apart. Cosmo had to work with his security team to keep these two superheroes from the future contained, leaving the dog severely alarmed and the Continuum Cortex badly damaged. This in turn stranded the Guardians on a mission for 15 hours, leaving Gamora badly injured. Cosmo, for his part, felt regret at leaving the team in trouble for so long on a mission very early in the team's life, even if blame could hardly be cast on the dog. Stylizing himself as man's best friend and considering all humanoid aliens to be men of some kind, Cosmo proved to be extremely good-natured and loyal to the Guardians of the Galaxy time and time again, while also showing a lot of love towards his fellow residents on Knowhere. In other words, Cosmo is a very good dog. Though the Cortex was fully repaired after the earlier incident, it was once again taken completely out of commission by an explosion shortly after. Cosmo showed the Guardians that a number among those found dead turned out to be Skrull infiltrators. The dog was unable to detect the Skrulls with his telepathy, leading to a concerning situation where they realized there still may be other Skrulls living among them. Rocket accused the dog of being a Skrull himself, much to Cosmo's rage. The rest of the team soon began turning on each other as well, to the point where representatives from Knowhere began to challenge whether the Guardians should be allowed to stay on Knowhere, given the nature of this recent attack and the damage Starhawk caused earlier. Though Cosmo vouched for the team personally, he was not the only voice of authority here and was officially challenged on this matter. The Spacedog was interrupted by a disturbance at the marketplace, and once again, he had to stop Major Vance Astro from fighting somebody. When the situation began getting tense, Cosmo was forced to ask the Guardians to confine themselves to their own quarters for the time being, much to the annoyance of Rocket Raccoon, who seemed to mistrust the dog instinctively. The Guardians were questioned severely in the wake of this, though Cosmo tried to protect them as best he could. Still, when Drax the Destroyer was seen behaving in a number of suspicious ways, Cosmo began to follow him and investigate. During this, Adam Warlock discovered Cosmo was actually visiting a family of Skrulls, leading Warlock to attack the powerful dog outright, in spite of Cosmo's protests. Before they could fight, however, both were suddenly attacked by Drax, who had been quietly hunting down the Skrulls himself. Cosmo explained that these aliens were innocent refugees, and Adam Warlock agreed to defend them. The Destroyer, however, was much harder to reason with, and Drax managed to kick Cosmo before the dog could calm his attacker down, along with Quasar, who had been growing suspicious of Drax herself and nearly attacked too. Before the situation could escalate any further, the Skrulls explained that they had fled here after an extremist element of their species launched an invasion of Earth. Knowhere's teleporters were destroyed to keep the Guardians out of the fight. Various aliens then also tried to attack the Skrulls, including a Luminol who nearly killed Cosmo. A Skrull had to dive in the way of the blast that nearly led to this innocent alien's death. This enraged an already frustrated Cosmo, who unleashed a powerful telepathic blast that incapacitated everyone in the area with tremendous pain. Ultimately, Knowhere delegates chose to relinquish their concerns over the Guardians, though they weren't exactly left happy about the situation either. Cosmo in turn promised Star-Lord to keep the Council of Knowhere, as the leadership called itself, away from the Guardians as best he could. And the Skrulls were allowed to remain on Knowhere. However, the Guardians immediately fell apart as a team, with everyone turning on each other. It was learned that Peter Quill had Mantis manipulate everyone with her psionic abilities so they would all be willing to join this new group to begin with. Feeling violated, most of the members left in a rage. Shortly after, Cosmo interrogated another Starhawk that showed up on Knowhere, though this one was female instead of the original male superhero. She wanted to speak to the Guardians, but the handful of team members remaining had gone to help a faraway colony, and Cosmo would be out of contact with them until they returned. Peter, meanwhile, had disappeared entirely, having gone missing while trying to warn the Kree of the secret Skrull invasion occurring on Earth at the time. When the group did get back, they revealed an important piece of news. Star-Lord had been banished to a pocket dimension called the Negative Zone. Cosmo sent the group off to rescue him, with the new Starhawk remaining cryptic about her purpose. Though it took 2 teleports to get Peter's exact location right, Cosmo was able to help the Guardians find Star-Lord, and the entire team managed to not only escape the Negative Zone, but also thwart an invasion into real space that the alien realm was planning. With these immediate concerns finally put to rest, Starhawk could at last reveal her purpose for being here. A new war was on the horizon, the War of the Kings, and it could very well mean the end of all. We'll end things here for now, as Cosmo would go on to oversee a Guardians of the Galaxy reunited in the face of calamity. He has a long history of working with the Guardians of the Galaxy in the modern age, so if you'd like to see more on this character or any other, be sure to let me know in the comments section below. Thanks for watching everyone, and we'll see you all next time on Comic Island.